I want to start today by being really honest with you. I did not want to record this episode. And not because I don't think it's important. Actually, probably because I think it's important, and because it touches something that feels kind of uncomfortable to admit out loud. Today, we're talking about jealousy, specifically jealousy as an adult ballet dancer. And if your first reaction to that word is a little knot in your stomach, same. I was really resistant to doing this episode because it felt like talking about the worst parts of myself. The small parts, the insecure parts, the parts that don't feel very polished or mature or admirable. And maybe you already know exactly what I mean. Because jealousy isn't something we proudly bring up in conversation. It's not an emotion we usually volunteer. It's one we notice quietly and often try to explain away or suppress as quickly as possible. But my sweet husband, who is endlessly patient with my overthinking, encouraged me to do it anyway. Not because jealousy is fun to talk about or easy to admit, but because it's something so many people experience and yet almost no one talks about openly. Because adult ballet has a way of bringing jealousy to the surface, whether we want it to or not. Before we even talk about ballet specifically, though, I think it's important to name how jealousy changes as we get older. In my experience, jealousy as an adult feels very different than jealousy did when I was younger. When I was a kid or even a teenager, jealousy tends to feel obvious. It's external. I want that. That's not fair. Why did she get that and I didn't? As adults, jealousy gets a little quieter. It's less likely to come out as anger and more likely to turn inward, into self-criticism, doubt, comparison. And I think this is what makes adult jealousy so unsettling, because often we're genuinely happy for the person at the same time. You can celebrate a friend going on point and also feel that little ache because you're not there yet. You can admire someone's beautiful extensions and still feel discouraged about your own body. You can double tap the post, leave a kind comment, and truly mean it, and then sit with that quiet ache afterward. That internal conflict, holding joy and jealousy at the same time, can feel exhausting. Now layer that emotional complexity onto ballet, and things intensify quickly. Ballet is uniquely vulnerable. It asks for your body, your coordination, your focus, your humility, all at once and in a public space. Your progress isn't private. Your mistakes aren't private. Your learning curve is happening in real time, in mirrors, next to other people. And comparison becomes almost automatic. We notice who picks up the choreography quickly, who needs fewer corrections, who looks comfortable, who looks confident, who seems to get it. And then there's the physical stuff. Feet, flexibility, turnout, lines. And seriously, in what other world do grown adults find themselves thinking, God, I'm so jealous of her feet? Like, excuse me? Ballet is basically the only place where that sentence makes complete sense. And that alone tells you how strange and vulnerable this pursuit really is. And if you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, that hits, you might already know exactly where jealousy tends to show up for you. Maybe it's body image, maybe it's flexibility, maybe it's how quickly someone picks things up. Maybe it's confidence, that feeling that other dancers just seem to belong in a way you're still trying to convince yourself that you do. You don't need to fix that or analyze it right now. Just noticing where jealousy tends to land for you is enough. Because once you name it, it stops being this vague, heavy cloud and starts becoming something you can actually work with. Have you been craving more time in the studio and more connection with other adult dancers? If so, I have great news for you. This episode is sponsored by LABL Active, a dance and activewear brand inspired by the artistry, discipline, and presence of dancers, and the host of the 2026 Adult Ballet Retreat. 5 full days of ballet classes and social activities designed specifically for adult dancers, taking place in Seattle, Washington, June 21st through the 26th. I've personally attended retreats hosted by this team multiple times, and it's always an unforgettable experience. There's nothing like spending a week surrounded by other adult dancers, immersed in your shared love of ballet, in a space that's supportive and encouraging. And this whole week is thoughtfully built around adults. The pacing, the coaching, the environment, and there's 3 levels to choose from. So whether you're a beginner or have been dancing for years, this event is for you. I'm so excited to be attending again this year, and I would genuinely love to dance with you in person. Registration closes on April 15th, so if you're interested, don't wait. And because you're part of the after-class community, you can use code AFTERCLASS100 and get $100 off your registration. All the details and links to register are in the show notes. If you've been dreaming of a ballet experience that fills your cup, I cannot recommend this retreat enough. Hope to see you there. And where jealousy shows up also matters, because it doesn't hit us the same way everywhere. I find that jealousy tends to show up in two main places for adult dancers: in the studio and online. In the studio, it's immediate and embodied. You might feel it when someone beside you nails their pirouettes and you're still fighting to get them, or when someone gets more attention from the teacher, or maybe it's when someone seems like they just belong while you're still convincing yourself that you do. Online, jealousy shows up differently and often more intensely, because online, we're not just comparing ourselves to one dancer in class, we're comparing ourselves to dozens, sometimes hundreds, without context. And our brains are terrible at filling in missing information kindly. And this isn't just theoretical. I'll be honest with you, this came up for me very recently. The other day, I was scrolling on Instagram and saw a fellow adult dancer reach a milestone that I've been personally working toward for a long time and just can't seem to achieve. And what surprised me was how complicated my reaction was, because my first feeling really was genuine happiness. I was truly excited for them. I smiled, I felt proud of them, I thought, that's amazing. And then, almost immediately, the jealousy hit. Not ugly, not mean, just heavy. That sinking feeling in your chest, that quiet, why not me? I ended up word vomiting all of this to my husband, like full spiral. And I was honestly on the verge of tears because the emotions felt so contradictory. How can I be so happy for someone else and so jealous at the same time? But that experience starts to make more sense when we start to look at why jealousy feels so personal in ballet. One reason is because it's often tied to our identity. Psychologists talk about something called self-discrepancy, the gap between who you are now, who you think you should be, and who you wish you were. Ballet magnifies that gap. You can be proud of your consistency and still feel discouraged by slow progress. You can love ballet deeply and still feel frustrated with your body. That tension doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means this matters. This episode is sponsored by Jule Dancewear. Okay, real talk. Not all dancewear is created equal, but Jule Dancewear, they get it. Their meshy tights are durable, come in unique colors like purple and blue, and the back seam makes your legs look amazing. Seriously, my legs have never felt more snatched. And their leotards, they're like the little black dress of the ballet world, flattering and chic, the one you reach for over and over because you know you look good in it. But what I love most is that Jule's sizing is truly adult ballet body friendly. Their pieces embrace and support your curves, so you feel as good as you look. And because you're part of this community, Jule is giving you 15% off your order with the code JuleBunhead15. That's JuleBunhead15 at JuleDancewear.com, because every dancer deserves to feel confident in class. Another layer we don't talk about enough, and one that really intensifies jealousy for adult dancers, is that we're comparing ourselves through the lens of everything we already know about our lives. As adults, we're aware of how long progress actually takes, what we didn't do as kids, what we're balancing now, what our realistic limits might be. So jealousy isn't just comparison, it's often grief mixed in. Grief for what feels out of reach, grief for what's taking longer than you hoped, and that's a lot to carry. And when that kind of grief goes unacknowledged and undealt with, it starts to affect our behavior. And while it might not make you quit immediately, it can erode things slowly. It might make you doubt your effort, minimize your progress, hesitate to try, pull back emotionally. And over time, that's what leads dancers to drift away. Not because they stopped loving ballet, but because discouragement piled up, which is why dealing with it matters. So what do we actually do with all this? Because ignoring jealousy doesn't work. And pretending we don't feel it at all isn't helpful either. So in the spirit of keeping it real, here are some tools I'm using to work through jealousy instead of letting it quietly sabotage me. Maybe they'll help you too. Number one is to name it every time. This is jealousy. This is comparison. This is insecurity. Naming it creates distance. It keeps it from becoming truth. Number two is to let it reveal desire. Jealousy often points to what you care about. Not entitlement, care. And that desire isn't something to punish yourself for. it's information. Number 3 is to replace judgment with curiosity. So instead of thinking, I'll never be like that, try, what would help me move 1 inch in that direction? Curiosity keeps you moving instead of shutting down. Number 4 is to practice compassion on hard days. Not fake hype, not toxic positivity, just honesty. Saying things to yourself like, this is hard, I'm learning, I'm allowed to be in process. That kind of compassion will keep you dancing for the long haul. And lastly, number 5, guard your inputs. If certain content consistently leaves you discouraged, step back. Curating what you take in is not the same thing as wishing less for someone else. It's choosing to protect your own joy, focus, and motivation so you can keep showing up in class, in your body, and in your life with a joyful heart instead of a discouraged one. The good news is that jealousy isn't the end of the story. It's a signal. It tells you ballet matters to you, your growth matters to you, and this isn't a casual hobby for you. The goal isn't to never feel jealous. That's just not realistic. The goal is to not let jealousy decide whether you keep showing up. So if jealousy has been part of your adult ballet journey, I want you to know this. You're not alone, you're not a terrible human being, and you don't have to stay stuck. Ballet is hard. Ballet as an adult is deeply vulnerable. But continuing to show up, even when your motivation feels shaky or your emotions feel complicated, is how real progress actually gets made. So if this episode felt a little uncomfortable or hit closer to home than you expected, take that as a sign that something here matters to you, and let that be enough for today. I'll see you next week after class. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode was helpful or encouraging, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a quick review. It's one of the best ways to help more adult dancers find this podcast and feel a little less alone in their ballet journey. All the links and resources mentioned today are waiting for you in the show notes. I'll meet you back here next week after class.